Hey guys, welcome back to my kitchen. Now normally here on my channel I want to try that. I do two series. I do world cuisine and I do a cocktail series. But I've decided to do yet a third series, and that is keto recipes. And that's what I'm going to show you today. Now we're going into the month of March, and I started thinking about the St. Patrick's Day holiday, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking I'm going to be showing you a corned beef and cabbage recipe, but you'd be wrong, and I'll tell you why. Because corned beef and cabbage isn't really the national dish of Ireland, and they don't even really eat it on St. Patrick's Day. That's more of an Americanized tradition that we all know and love. So no, I'm not going to be doing that, but I am going to show you a very popular British dish that is loved throughout the United Kingdom. And you could pretty much find this on any Irish tavern or pub menu, and that is bangers and mash. Now, bangers are sausages. We're going to be using a beer brat today. And mash is traditionally mashed potatoes, but this is a keto recipe, so we're going to be doing a garlic mashed cauliflower. And we're going to serve it with a traditional Guinness onion gravy, and it's going to be delish. So, let me show you the necessary ingredients to make this dish. Okay, so here are all the ingredients. I'm just going to go over them really quickly. I will have an ingredients page listing the necessary ingredients, measurements, as well as the nutritional information at the beginning of this tutorial. So we're going to start with some beer brats. We're going to be cooking with some beef bone broth or beef stock, whichever. Some heavy cream, some grated cheese, some cream cheese, some butter, about a medium-sized onion, a clove of garlic, some stout beer. I have Guinness. This is original Guinness. I know it's not in a black can, but it's some limited edition can, but it is Guinness Draft. As well as cauliflower. I bought the already cut clean florets. You can go ahead and get a head if you want and chop that up and clean it. You need approximately 3 cups. Now, one other thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be thickening my gravy using xanthan gum, and I will show you how to use it. It is a little tricky, but once you know how to use it, it should be fine. If you don't want to use xanthan gum and you're okay with a very loose kind of watery gravy, you could omit that altogether. But that's the ingredients. Enough talking, let's get cooking. Okay, so we're going to start by turning on our heat to about medium-high. And then I'm just going to take my brats and place them in the pan. Don't worry about overcrowding right now, because what we're going to do is just basically lightly simmer the sausage to help cook it a little bit. So we're going to add a half a cup of water. And we're going to put a lid on it. We're going to bring this up to a simmer, and then once it starts to simmer, we're going to let it cook for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then we're going to uncover it and we'll brown them in batches. So my water has begun to simmer. I'll just show you quickly. And we just want to simmer very lightly. I really don't want to boil the sausage too much, because they'll tend to dry out. All the fat and lovely juices will boil out of the sausage. So just a very low simmer, just to help heat it up and start the cooking process. So it's been about a minute. I'm just gonna take the lid off and just turn them quickly so the other side starts to cook. Now I'm just going to pop the lid back on and let it go 1 more minute, and then we can take the lid off and raise the heat and start browning our sausages. Okay, so they've been cooking about 3 minutes, about a minute and a half on one side. I had flipped them over, a minute and a half on this side. So now we're just gonna take the lid off. I'm gonna raise that heat back up to medium high. Okay, so I'm gonna remove these sausages and drain off this excess water. Now I'm going to return the sausages to the pan. I'm also going to add about 3 ounces of the Guinness beer. I'm going to let that Guinness beer cook down and cook into the sausages. I'm just going to turn them over. I'm going to let them continue to cook until all of the Guinness beer has cooked away. Okay, so the beer has reduced down and the liquid is all gone. And now we're going to start to brown our sausages. And I was going to take them out of the pan, but it looks like they actually just fit, so I'm just going to do one big batch. But by all means, if your fry pan is not large enough, cook it in 2 separate batches. Okay, let's start to turn them. Okay, so the sausages have been browning for about 4 or 5 minutes. They have color on both sides. We don't have to cook them exactly all the way through because we're going to put them back in the pan once we make the gravy. So let's remove them. And I'm just going to pull my pan off the heat for a minute because I'm going to put some butter in there. Okay, so with the pan off the heat right here, I'm going to add a tablespoon of butter. Okay, good. And now I'll put it back on the heat. And this is all the flavor, the brown bits at the bottom. So to this butter, we're going to add our onion. I've sliced it up. And just put it in there. Lower the heat just a little. You don't want this to burn. And we're going to cook the onion. We're going to saute it until it becomes soft and also caramelized. And I'm also going to season the onion with salt and pepper to taste. Okay, so we're just going to keep cooking the onions till they're a little bit more brown, cooked down and soft. So I've moved my onions off to the side onto another burner, and while those are slowly sauteing, we're going to bring about 4 cups of water up to a boil in a pot to start our cauliflower. So our water for the cauliflower has finally come up to a boil. I'm going to remove that lid. And I'm just going to add just a tablespoon, or rather a teaspoon or 2 of salt to the water. And then add the cauliflower. And now I'm going to cook that uncovered for approximately 5 minutes or until it is fork tender. So this has been cooking for 5 minutes. I set a timer, so I'm just going to see if it's fork tender. I think it can go 1 more minute. Let's check it one more time. Another minute has passed, so yes, that is fork tender. We're good to go. Let's just drain it. So while my cauliflower is draining, my onions have been cooking for about 10 to 15 minutes, and they are beautifully caramelized. So these are done. I'm just gonna shut the heat off on this right now, and we are gonna concentrate on our cauliflower. So before we put our cauliflower all together, I just want to show you, I've taken the clove of garlic, I've sliced it, and I've put it in about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I'm going to pop this in the microwave for about a minute and just cook the garlic a little so it's a little toasty before adding it to our cauliflower so it's not so strong and bitter. So while the garlic is cooking in the microwave quick, I'm just going to take our drained cauliflower and add that to the bowl. And then to that, I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon of butter, 4 tablespoons of grated cheese, which is 1 ounce of cheese, 2 tablespoons of cream cheese. So let me just cut that and add the cream cheese. So I'm also gonna add then to this 4 tablespoons of heavy whipping cream. I'm sorry, 2 tablespoons. So I just wanted to show you that the garlic toasted in the microwave, and I'm just gonna pick out the garlic. Okay, now let's get the blender and whip it up. Okay, so let's start on a slow speed. Now I'm gonna raise it a couple of more speeds. Okay. It's the consistency that I want. It's almost completely smooth. There might be just a few little pieces, and that's kind of how I like it. I'm just gonna taste it for seasoning now. So I'm just gonna add a little teaspoon, maybe 2, of some Mediterranean sea salt. Just whip that in. Okay, so our mashed cauliflower is done. Okay, so let's return to our onions. So we're gonna start the gravy, and we're basically gonna just put 1 cup of beef broth or stock, 1 cup of the Guinness beer. And then we're just gonna let that come together in the pan for a few minutes, and then we'll add our sausages and our thickening agent to thicken up our gravy. Okay, so behind me on the stove are the onions with the 1 cup of beef broth or stock and the 1 cup of stout, and it's just slowly coming up to a simmer. Let me just check on it. I just want those flavors to kind of come together. In the meanwhile, we're gonna make our roux or slurry. Now we're gonna be using xanthan gum. Now this stuff's really powerful. So it's nowhere near as what you would be using if you were making a real roux with flour. No way. So we're only gonna be using not even really a half teaspoon for the total 2.5 cups of liquid that we have for our gravy. Just shy of half a teaspoon because it's very strong. So we're gonna take this, and just to let you know, this is keto friendly. There are 7 grams of carbs in 1 tablespoon. And we're not even using really a half teaspoon. It's just, I'm not gonna like have it overflowing, anything like that, just a little bit less. Okay, just a little teeny bit. I'm gonna put that in a bowl. So I have liquid coconut oil, and to that, just shy of half a teaspoon, I'm gonna add a full teaspoon of coconut oil. And then we have to whisk vigorously. I'm just gonna start to whisk it in. So now we have to whisk vigorously a half a cup of the beef broth to that mixture. So we're just gonna slowly pour it. Okay. Okay. Successful. Okay, so this mixture has sat for about 2 minutes, and I just want to show you. It's kind of glossy and like gelatinous looking. So now we're going to add this to this. Now you don't want it to be simmering. This is just slightly warm. Anything higher than that, and when this hits that, it will clump. I'm going to keep this moving, and I'm going to pour that in. Okay. And now, oh look, it's starting to get thick already. We're going to raise that heat a little. And this should thicken a little bit more as it cooks. So while we're going to be bringing that up to temperature and thickening the gravy, we're going to return our sausages to the pan. Perfect. And I'm also going to add the juice. So I've just brought it up to a simmer, and our gravy's looking great. And I'm just reheating our sausages. Okay, this is good to go. So let's plate it and taste it. Okay guys, here it is, bangers and cauliflower mash. Now I just want to let you know that the recipe yields 5 servings. I've already served myself 1 portion or 1 serving, and that consists of 2 sausages, a half cup of the cauliflower mash, and 1/3 of a cup of the Guinness Onion Gravy. And I'm gonna have a little bit of Guinness with my meal. All right. So we looked this up online on how to pour the perfect glass of Guinness from a can. So you wash your beer can, you have a clean glass, you pour it in like that, and then we wait for the foam to settle, all the bubbles to settle, and then I should be able to just pull the can up and it should pour a perfect glass of Guinness. Okay, it's settled down, so now we're gonna pull the can up. Okay, looks good to me. Cheers. Now let's try the bangers and cauliflower mash. Okay. Perfect. Tender, juicy, full of flavor. It's really absorbed some of that stout from the stout flavor with the Guinness. Now let's try the cauliflower mash. Creamy, a little garlicky, pairs well with that onion gravy. Just absolutely delicious. Well guys, I hope you try and like this dish. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Don't forget, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on anything. And until next time guys,